Carlos Osuita does a thread about the recent Project Veritas video about ABC News, their bias, and the hot mic moments caught on camera. Thread. This guy shows you exactly why Donald Trump will win in a landslide on November 3rd. I've never heard such confusion and ineptness in my life. David Wright, ABC News correspondent, says, and so it's like there's no upside in, our bosses don't see an upside in doing the job we're supposed to do, which is to speak truth to power and hold people to account. David Wright is a practitioner of accountability journalism. In reality, of course, his job is to report the news, not speak truth to power or hold people to account. Reporting the news requires objectivity. Accountability journalism requires bias. The reporters themselves determine who is doing something wrong. David Wright then says, but I don't know. The fake news abounds. There are problems with the truth these days. This guy is speaking out of both sides of his mouth. Accountability journalism by its very nature is fake news because it relies on bias. So he laments all the fake news and said he's not allowed to create fake news. Then David Wright says, we don't hold him to account, Trump he's referring to. We also don't give him credit for the things he does do. They don't hold him to account? For what? Trump isn't doing anything wrong. They're reporting the very fake news that this guy claims to oppose. David Wright is crazy. He's disoriented. He graduated from Harvard and has a master's degree from Oxford, but he's vacuous. All his thoughts are shockingly superficial. Then Wright says, the commercial imperative is incompatible with news. The commercial imperative is incompatible with news? Then how did so many news organizations survive for so long as for-profit operations? The present-day media is dying because of bias. Accountability journalism, rabid leftism. This guy is calling for a state-run leftist press like in Cuba. These guys are demented. Andy Fees, ABC News producer, says, so real people talk about practical issues when they're thinking about a candidate. Those things aren't TV-friendly things. We want to focus on impeachment. We want to focus on the big shit going on. And David Wright says, I think we don't have the bandwidth to give everybody a fair shot, and we should. They contradict themselves every other sentence. You can't be fair and biased at the same time. And the things people want to hear are automatically TV-friendly. The ratings show nobody cares about impeachment. They want to be biased and fair simultaneously. And they say that the things people want to hear are not what would make people tune into the channel. Their minds are wrecked. Ideology, ignorance, and alcoholism have made them incapable of succeeding in their chosen field. Then David Wright says, and we're in this awkward moment and created by this awkward moment, we have this fucking president. And then David Wright continues, and we can't figure out how to challenge him. Once again, Trump is not credited with his own agency, his own ability to act. Wright says that the press created Trump, but the press also doesn't know how to challenge him. Both positions are ridiculous. Trump created Trump, and the job of the press is not to challenge him. Here we have from the horse's mouth that the press doesn't know how to be the press, and the press thinks that Trump the idiot is profiting from this awkward moment. Journalists haven't learned anything over the past 3 years. They are doomed by rigidity of thought. And then David Wright says, more than that, I'd consider myself a socialist. I think there's too many billionaires, and I think there's a wealth gap. That's a problem. Wright has a child's view of socialism. He thinks that by taking money from billionaires and giving it to others, we achieve paradise on earth. The reality is that others' wealth has no impact on you. All you need to do is look at lottery winners. Almost all American lottery winners simply blow the money and end up broke again. Socialism is a machine designed to prevent people from changing their station in life. National health care is designed to kill you in order to save money. Bloomberg says that we can't afford to treat the elderly when they get sick. Both my parents were 84 when they were diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic cancer, and both would have lived if they hadn't committed suicide by starving themselves to death. Cancer treatment today is completely different from what it was when Bloomberg was a young man. I've studied it because I'm virtually guaranteed to get cancer since both parents contracted it. I'm not afraid. Socialism chooses which people live and which people die, which people are allowed to be educated, which companies succeed and which don't, which animal species survive and which go extinct. Nice, huh? Another exchange from the video. David Wright. We fucked up 4 years ago, and we're fucking up in the same ways today. Would you agree? Andy Fees, the producer, says, No, I think we're fucking up in a different way. David Wright. How are we fucking up in a different way? Andy Fees. Well, maybe you're right. Maybe it is the same. Not giving candidates their due. This exchange is amazing. These guys can't think. Their brains don't work. They don't understand 2016 and they don't understand 2020. And they can't defend their positions with facts. Final exchange. Drew, an ABC News, the ABC News producer, says, We used to do different work. I used to think it was us, but now I think it's the world. David Wright continues, I think it's the world. The world sucks. And finally, we come to a total disavowal of responsibility. Not my fault. The world sucks. These are poisonous losers. The world not only does not suck, it's improving all the time. When was the last World War? Where's the Islamic State? Why are American deaths from illegal narcotics dropping? Why does India love Trump? Why has Mexico become our southern wall? If you're crazy, angry, drunk, and permanently confused, you think the world sucks. If you're Donald Trump and his real supporters, you understand that we as a planet are finally getting our act together. It's a great time to be alive and sane.